Fashion Fiction, Pulp Fashion. That was advertised on Hell in a Cell, but as noted on SmackDown, it actually wasn't on SmackDown. That was supposed to be a segment on SmackDown after Hell in a Cell. And there's other rumors, too. If you watched, they had the Fashion File segment at Hell in a Cell, and they said they kept doing 2Bs. Well, coincidentally, on SmackDown, we saw the vignette for the return of Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, who are essentially going to be the Bludgeon Brothers. So, I mean...
we think we got the answer there. Ding, ding, ding. I think that's where it's going.
Now, here's a question. Does this take away from you at all? Now, we obviously talked about this moving over to Monday Night Raw. We talked about this last week with the TLC poster. Now, people showed me some photos this past week from Indianapolis and Monday Night Raw where Raw hadn't hit the air yet. The doors just opened. And again, the Shield was still, what The Miz said, a rumor. But yet, the Shield brand new shirts were already for sale
They were already
at the shop. Now, WWEShopZone.com does it the right way. They sent out the tweet, brand new shirts are available after the fact. I think at like 9:30. That's the way you do it. The way you do it is you hold the shirts back.
Keep them in the box.
Keep them in the box. And then when people are walking out the door, they can... Listen,
or better yet, after the Shield makes that nice, that debut that they kind of made together,
you put on a thing on that scoreboard saying Shield shirts now available.
Yeah, or like at a commercial break, the PA guy can say, or like they can say, Shield shirts now available at the T-shirt, at the T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm not asking for anything crazy. You know what I mean? In the sense of, we obviously know, even in real sports, the Super Bowl championship shirts are printed up long before we know who's going to be the Super Bowl champion.
True.
But they don't sell both teams in anticipation. They don't do it, and again...
The loser goes to.
I'm not asking for you not to invent the shirt or to make it come out like a week later. I understand that you have this thing. But just play a little bit of the magic. That's what wrestling is.
They
it's
do
magic.
it the right way. They do it the right way. Like the sporting teams, like Super Bowl champions, like the World Series coming up. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have these shirts where it's like, okay, so it could be like the Cubs versus the Astros, and say you make shirts for both, and say the Astros win. You give those shirts to a third world country. I mean, it works out. I mean, that's cool.
But that's different. But I'm saying, like
you could do that with
WWE. I mean, to a point, they're not going to do that because they know who's going to win. So why would they make shirts for the non-winner? That doesn't make any sense at all. Come on, it's only relatable to real sports in the sense of the fact that they have the shirts available, but they don't put them available. You don't think, they don't sell them ahead of time.
I mean, what if an injury came up though, and they already made the shirts? Like something last minute injury, then I would do that. Why not?
Well, you know what? Because of the fact that I don't think there would have been a last. I don't think they had the Shield shirts at house shows over the weekend. I think they debuted them on Monday Night Raw.
I would hope so.
So if they debuted them on Monday Night Raw, you're pretty certain, regardless of injury, that the Shield was going to come back together. Now, if they came back together and somebody got hurt, then yeah, like you can still sell the shirts because you still put the Shield back together, and something happened after.
Speaking of shirts, when the hell are we going to get Bullet Club? Well, just thrown to the left field there. I mean, I keep seeing shirts all over the arena for the Bullet Club. Like when are we going to see some Bullet Club going on in the WWE? That's what
there were some member. It's kind of funny. So there's Jimmy Jacobs, who has been in developmental. He's been in Ring of Honor. I've seen him in independent wrestling for years now. He's been under WWE contract until this week. Jimmy Jacobs has been cut from WWE contract, and the reason that a lot of people are saying, again, nothing can be for sure, is because a few weeks ago in California during a WWE Raw taping, he was outside taking a picture with members of the Bullet Club before they came into Raw under their quote. I don't want to say invasion, because invasion implies that they actually did something. They didn't really do anything. They just were there. Yeah. I felt that ECW back in the day in that old Raw when they sat front row and was on camera and were mentioned by the announcers, that was kind of an invasion. Or in the sense of WCW, actually coming on camera, that was an invasion. Being there, that's not an invasion.
Who cares?
Like if the Yankees show up at a stadium that they're not playing at and they're just sitting in the crowd watching it, they're not invading. You know what I mean? They're just present.
They're just there. Who cares?
It wasn't really a Bullet Club invasion, I feel. But either way, he took a picture of it and he tagged them in it. He tagged Bullet Club and all that other stuff. And this week, he got his walk-in papers from WWE.
I think that's a little ridiculous, to be honest with you.
I think it's a little ridiculous if that is the reason. Obviously, there's got to be more to it. But if that's the reason,
if that's really the reason, that's a little petty in my book. I mean, if there's something more than obviously that's not out there yet, then yes, whatever. If it was justified, then yes, you get the walking papers. But if it's for something If it's just that, strictly that, I think that's a bunch of crap.
Speaking of Bullet Club and most probably prominently the Young Bucks, whom, while we are taping this show, I will say it was a tough decision, but I could have been in Buffalo watching the Young Bucks and that Kenny Omega tonight, as well as Cody Rhodes. They are currently in Buffalo, New York, but we are here recording the show. But what the most point I was actually trying to get at was, I have a question. Our Brandon the Icebreaker Clemens does not know, but it involves the Young Bucks, and it's in our 3 count. So we'll be talking a little more about the Bullet Club and WWE. No, I'm not gonna. I'll throw out some surprises. They're not in WWE. There's no contracts. If you're listening to the show, you can probably figure it out. But it is an interesting question. I do agree that there's lots of shirts. Hot Topic sells the shirts now. And that's the thing too. WWE, they got to realize that wrestling is starting, especially because of people like the Bullet Club, to start to bleed outside of WWE. Places like Hot Topic have an equal amount of non-WWE
They're almost
shirts.
they're like band shirts now.
Yeah, they have an equal amount of Kenny Omega and Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes shirts as they do John Cena and Kevin Owens.
In the world of fashion, so to speak. I mean, you're gonna see people wearing Bullet Club shirts that aren't even wrestlers. They're not even they might not even be wrestling fans. They might just like the design of the shirt.
It's similar to like NWO. It's kind of because NWO too had that blanket where it was more than just 3 guys. It was it could be its own brand. And Bullet Club is kind of like that, where they have people all over the place. I mean, obviously the Bullet Club essentially is still in WWE. I mean, with the Finn Balor's and the Carl Andersons.
Yeah, but they're still in Japan too.
Yeah,
they're all over, man.
That's what I mean. They have members of this organization all over the place. It's like NWO had 25 guys in it.
Now I know we're talking Bullet Club. I mean, this is kind of a similar. I mean, this is a weird transition to it, but I will say this: Neville gets, he walks out, he quits, and I saw some interesting tweets from Bullet Club members. Hey,
want to join?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, you want to join the club? So to speak.
What would that essentially do for him personally in his career? I mean, would that just, because I don't think he's going to have a hard time getting booked.
No,
gimmicks. It would just give him it would be like a Cody Rhodes style, I guess.
Where do you think? Yeah, I was going to say.
Or do you give him he'd be booked, and now he'd have a new character to be booked with instead of just being booked as Neville?
Who's being booked at just local, just different little small events? Joey Mercury. I saw on Seth Rollins' Twitter. It says book this guy, and it has open events. Joey Mercury's back he's actually wrestling again. He's not in the backstage.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Joey Mercury recently, especially too with not recently as much as they said, but with the Triple H angles and stuff back in the day, where he would always be him and
Jamie Noble. J&J Security.
Yeah,
I love those guys.
Him and Joey Mercury have been showing up all over the place when it comes to the apparently the on-camera suits of WWE.
Yeah, that's true. And it's the thing with Jamie Noble, I don't think he's actually wrestling. He's all strictly backstage now. Mm-hmm. I didn't know Joey Mercury was doing these events until I saw it on Seth Rollins' Twitter that he's booked this guy, and it was a picture of Joey Mercury in the ring somewhere, and I'm like, oh, I thought Joey Mercury was still in the back office.
There's a lot of these guys who can still compete, but they're given jobs in WWE, and you can't turn those down.
Absolutely not. And
even if it doesn't mean competing. I mean, you say okay, I would like to compete, but I can't turn this down.
Look at Road Dogg, Road Dogg's backstage. I think he's a producer back there, if I'm not mistaken. But
even some of the younger guys, like the Jimmy Jacobs of the world, who are really essentially working there non-competing, in WWE, who was helping, Ray and helping with production, and he can still compete. But he was back there because he said, listen, I mean, I can either compete and be a nobody, or I can work here and then maybe compete on the side.
Why not? You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
And just the idea of being hired by WWE is such a big deal to a lot of people that,
especially
even
especially in the industry.
Yeah, if WWE called you up and you were an active wrestler and said, will you retire for us and just work in the office?
And we're going to pay you this much? Sure.
Yeah.
Pay me a bunch of money? Sure. I'm good.
And you're still, and most importantly, you're still involved in wrestling.
Exactly.
It might be hard for those people who love to compete, but, it's hard. You see it a lot in the NBA. We have all these guys immediately who might not even retire. Jason Kidd be like, I don't even know if I'm going to retire. And the next thing you know, he's offered a job as a coach.
Head coach,
yeah. Kind of makes his mind up. And that's what a lot of these people, they might not even want to retire, but that makes their mind up.
A lot of former athletes across the sports world they're in the broadcasting industry now. So it's they're not, and on the field, but they're there.
And but to your point of that is some of them aren't really done playing. their mind was made up when these offers came to them. They were still, I think they were still training every day, planning on playing for another team, and then an offer came to them, and that's essentially what happened to Jimmy Jacobs. That's essentially what happened to Joey Mercury, is they were competing on a daily basis, not thinking about not competing, and the WWE called and said, hey, would you like to do this? And then all of a sudden,
we'll keep you as
kind of like Corey Graves. Corey Graves was obviously this competitor in NXT, and they kind of told him that, we don't think that you can compete because of your numerous concussions.
Yeah.
And I felt that if WWE would have cut him, we would see Corey Graves wrestling all over the East Coast right now in independent wrestling.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He has the talent.
Yeah. I understand that the concussion thing would have stopped him from working in WWE, but I know how stubborn these guys are. Just like Kurt Angle left WWE because he had a pill problem. And he said, well, I don't got no pill problem. And he went otherwhere and he wrestled.
Yeah.
So Corey Graves, if he would have just left WWE, would be wrestling all over the East Coast.
Do you think Daniel Bryan's in the same spot where WWE doesn't want to clear him, but he can go wrestle anywhere else?
Yeah, because I feel that he's starting to get that inch where he wants to go.
I think he's getting back
somewhere else.
I think his contract's coming up soon. I think his contract's expiring, and I want to say next year or so, if I'm not mistaken. I have a feeling he's going to leave WWE and he's going to go in the independent circuit. I really do. I think why
the
not?
high independent circuit.
Oh, absolutely. He'll be Cody Rhodes and then some. That's the way I look at him. Daniel Bryan has such a following. Anywhere he goes, he's going to make so much money. He'll forget about WWE because all these little independent they're going to pay him big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, even just for an appearance.
Yeah,
you don't even have to compete for the most part. And I feel too that he would probably, like a lot of these athletes who are very stubborn and think like it's not going to happen to me. He's going to get in the ring with somebody he's going to say, "Listen, I'll make most of the moves. This isn't going to be a hard match. It'll be fun to compete, and I won't do a lot of risky spots. I'll keep it under control." It's like people with drinking. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll just have one or two, and that'll be Daniel Bryan in the ring, and that's a lot of these guys in the ring. I'm not going to jump off Hell in a Cell anymore. But they feel like they can control it. Yeah, I won't do anything crazy, but they control if they're going to get hurt or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, a lot of the guys. I mean, you'd see that as you've gotten older, or the injury bug has gotten them. Like, who would be? I mean, Triple H. I mean, for him, he's gotten older, so we'll see him. I mean, he's more back. I mean, he's more back office now.
Very lucky to never. I mean, he's suffered some serious injuries, but never injuries in the sense of like concussions.
No, he's had. I mean, he's
had some leg injuries.
Yeah, quad. I think quad injury a couple times. I mean, he's tore his quad off the bone or something.
I mean, so he's had some serious injuries where a lot of people wouldn't expect him to compete, but he doesn't have any lingering, let's say, negative health benefits.
He's got it made. He's got it made.
Daniel Bryan and Corey Graves were given diagnosis, and same with Edge. Edge was given a diagnosis where it's like, if you compete again, it could be fatal.
Well, yeah, that's what they said to Edge. It's like if you
that's what they said to Brock Lesnar in UFC as well.
You take a bad bump, like they. I mean, I was where did I see it? But I know Edge mentioned it. He's like, they pretty much said two things were going to happen. You're either going to die or you're going to be paralyzed, or option C is you retire now with your health and you do other things. And he took option C. Thank goodness.
Not in the same regard, but similar. I mean, Brock Lesnar when he was in UFC. I mean, when he left the first time because they were told, with the appendix issue that in the intestinal issue that he had.
What is it?
Don't even get me to try to pronounce whatever that is.
Whatever, all our medical experts can correct us on, listening to the show. You can comment at us at Hail to the Face if you want. Or
good for you if you know what it is. Good for you. I know that
diverticulate something like I'm not even gonna try.
So it was that reason that got him out of UFC, prematurely. But as we obviously know, he's returned to UFC. He's returned to WWE. So these competitors, I mean, they don't care.
They got the itch, man. They're going to scratch. Simple as that.
So moving back to Monday Night Raw and the main event of Monday Night Raw, one of the matches for TLC, the Cruiserweight Championship, was supposed to be Enzo Amore versus Kalisto. For some reason, though, they jumped the gun, put it on Monday Night Raw, and Kalisto became the new Cruiserweight Champion. Now, this looks like it's probably going to be a rematch. I mean, because they're still going to have to give us 8 or 9 matches on the pay-per-view card.
Of course.
So, would you have rather them waited and Kalisto went into pay-per-view, or are you more interested now seeing Enzo and Kalisto? Enzo and Kalisto on Monday Night Raw with Kalisto becoming the champion and then kind of coming in with now Enzo here's former champion.
Here's my hot take on that. Enzo Amore should not have lost the title. Number one, he's the premier guy right now. Not from a wrestling aspect, but from a microphone and an entertainment aspect.
But he's got to face people, so you got to have some equal
But you can't-
intrigue in his
But
competition.
But it's like, for me, it made him look like a lesser champion. I mean, did he win it in a very sloppy, like a very dirty fashion by the low blow and all that stuff? Yes.